We're live.
I think we are.
Oh, I can hear you loud and clear.
Good. I'm glad. At least something's working today.
I like your haircut. Did you just get one?
Yeah, just one. Not all the hairs, just one.
Bald and brassy.
But so much easier in the mornings. I just get up, wash, and go.
So you got a late slip? You're late.
I know it's been one of those days. I'm telling you. See, originally we normally go on at 1, and I booked a head shoot at 11 o'clock, thinking we weren't going till 1. And then you approached me the other day and said, "Why don't we start at noon?" I'm like, "Okay, I still should be able to get it done and get back on here." But then the client showed up, and by the time we actually got her in front of the camera, it was like 10 after, quarter after 11, and we're shooting away. And then she wanted to change her lipstick color, so we did that. And then
Damn lipstick.
then we did some more. And then her daughter was here too because it's a snow day, so she's letting her daughter go through the laptop with her to pick the pictures they want and this and that. And yeah,
Right. So, okay. Well, next time you say we're good to go, you should be able to make it. I'm not going to believe you.
well, next time if I know ahead of time what time we're going on, I won't book a shoot 1 hour
Well,
before.
I don't want to get in the way of your bookings either. So, making money is a priority. So,
No, that's fine because normally I would have been fine. It's just a matter of I had booked this before we changed it to noon. That's all.
I hear you. It's all good. I'm just ribbing you. So,
I know. It's all good.
a question then on that topic before we get on to other things. I'm just curious. So I think you might have told me this, but I'm curious because it left my brain. When you do a headshot, then you download live, you're tethered, they get the pick right away, which is pretty much
Yeah,
what Maggie does.
I try to do it that way. The only difference is sometimes some don't want it. They don't have the time and they don't really want to. We'll go through them. We'll sort of pick their favorites.
Then
And
what do you
we'll
do?
just flag them. And then when we get them down to the favorites, it might be anywhere between 10 and 15. Then if they need to, I'll put them on an online gallery for them to look. But it's a
Okay.
low res and it's got the ghosted proof across it
Yeah.
with my copyright
Yeah.
on the bottom so that they can't do anything with it.
We use Shootproof for online galleries.
I
Not
use
sure.
Pixie Set.
So we don't use galleries for anything other than commercial headshots.
Same with myself.
Yeah. So
Yep.
just so anybody watching this,
Family portraits and things like that, we do in-person sales.
always.
Yes.
It's interesting. Larry Hertzberger from a few weeks ago, when he commented on the idea behind in-person sales, he found that was really bizarre. I never thought of it that way, but I thought, yeah, he's got a point. That there's a whole lot of photographers, newer photographers, who, oh, that's a big thing, in-person
Yep.
sales. It's like a lot of them have gone into gallery only or whatever, and they're looking at doing in-person sales like it's a whole new thing. Well, that's just the way it's been since I've been into photography since 1982, and there is no other alternative. It's like, yeah, you got to come in and look at your images and order on the spot, and that's one of the most important processes. So
I've been doing it for I want to say about 15 years myself. I think around 2008, 2009 is when I started doing them. So,
yeah,
even when we were in my basement apartment. But back then I used to use Animoto too. So I would make a slideshow with Animoto, and then I would
Right.
play that for them first, and then we'd go through them one at a time with my online database thing. But now I've changed that, and what I do now, I just make it quick now. So what I do is, because back then I used to offer the Animoto slideshow as an add-on. Hey, if you want
Right.
to buy that, you can. But I stopped doing that because 9 times out of 10, the Animoto shots are untouched. They're just straight out of camera, and I
Yeah.
don't want them having those shots. So
Mm-hmm.
what I do now is I actually just use Lightroom. So I actually go into Lightroom, and if you go in, there's a slideshow module right on Lightroom. You click on that, and the photos are all there. And then I just
Okay.
add a song onto it, and then I
Okay.
just export it that way. And then when they come, I just play that for them. And then
So it's just the basic slideshow, slide in, slide out, fade in, fade out.
yeah, basically, or it just cuts basically. Yeah, from one. Actually, it is a fade, but it's like you can pick how long the fade is. So it could be
Okay.
1 second,
Yeah.
2.5, and the slides will stay up for how much you take. You can
Yeah.
have it if you want. You can pick it to fit to the music if there's enough slides and the music's long enough,
Yeah.
and it'll do it that way. If not, it just fades the song out at the end there for you.
So I've been using ProShow Producer. I used to use Animoto, and I couldn't stand it anymore. Years ago, I canceled my account because I couldn't get the images to line up with the music. So the images often would end up going 30 seconds past the end of the music, and I'm like, so there's all this dead space. That drove me nuts. So I went to Pro Show Producer, which is a really good program because the wizard is amazing. The effects, they have licensed music included in it, which is a pain in the butt, which I'll bring up in a second.
Yeah.
But Pro Show Producer is gone. Photo decks, they're gone.
I know. I used to have that actually I used to use that at one time too.
I use it all the time. I still use it on my older computer at home, but I can't because Pro Show Producer was on it, and it's still active. I just can't update it.
Yeah.
I have access to all the songs, but I don't have it on this computer at work, which is where I'm at now.
Well,
so
the
they
only
have a
Sorry?
substitute. They said, here, you can go get this program, which I can't remember the name of it. But if you go to Photodex, you go to their website, they send you a link to this other slide creation software, and it was garbage. I didn't like it. I hope they change because I don't want to say bad things about
Lightroom is
software.
very easy to use. You can add title slides on it. You can add different slides on it. You can shift them around. You can add whatever songs. So
Yeah.
you can go on and get a subscription to one of those sites that has
I should check it out.
copyright-free music, and then you just get the music from there. But I don't use the copyright-free music only because I'm not selling the images or I'm not putting them on YouTube or anything like the slideshow on YouTube where I'm going to get. I'm just using it in my studio for a one-time only.
Mine
to
go
show
on
them their
YouTube,
images.
and I always have to put in a claim.
Yeah.
They tell me you can't do this, and I say, well, no, it's licensed from Photodex. And when I submit a claim, if I have a 20-minute slideshow with 5 songs, I got to put in 5 rebuttals.
Yeah.
But I hope they change, and I would consider going back to Animoto if they fix that problem. If anybody knows of any really good wizard-based slideshow creation software like Pro Show Producer, which was amazing. You just click that wizard, man, it would do the transitions and the effects are out of this world. I'm going to say Animoto's pretty good too. It's just that one problem. Anyways, I use slideshows pretty much only for my wedding. So
And your fairies too, but
no, I don't use them for fairies anymore.
no.
No, excuse me, I'm allergic to you.
Yeah. No, I like I said, I just use it for my sales session at the time, so I'm not using it to make money off of the slideshow, and that it's just to view their photos and that.
Yeah.
Now, if I was doing it where I was offering it as a product to burn for them that they can have as a product, or I was going to be doing a slideshow of my images to put on YouTube to show my clients and all that stuff, then yes, I would go and I would purchase a licensed song that, because I have a friend, the guy who does my video work here, he has a subscription to one of those sites, and so
Right.
I usually send my video stuff to him to edit for me. When he does, he has the music licensed, and then he sends me not only a copy of that song that he's downloaded for my video, but he sends me the license itself agreement that if YouTube was to come to me and say you don't have rights to use that song, I can send them the license. Yeah, here's the license.
Yeah,
And,
it's easy to rebuttal, and they just ask you to fill out a form and an
and I don't mind them
explanation.
doing that because it's like us with photographers. We don't want people stealing our images, so why should we go and steal somebody's music? It's the same
Yeah.
idea. We're all artists trying to help make money, so I
Good
wouldn't
point.
do that to another artist myself. So
Good point.
I don't mind doing it. So
You have a point there, John.
usually on the top of my head, but
It's a little bit pointy on the top of your head. It's like a pyramid. So
Yeah.
speaking about pyramids and pointy heads, Peter Hurley, Headshot Crew, have you been tracking
I
any
have
of
to
that?
get back on there. Last time was a couple months ago where I actually entered a second submission to his headshot of the month, and I didn't even get to see if they actually did a live one of it because he was gone away to California at the time or something. And
Well, I'm sure they did.
I didn't win. I know that. I saw the winners on there. I don't know how mine rated. I didn't see the video. I'll have to go on there and see if they have a replay of the video.
Well, I went in there today and I was looking around. I find it a little bit confusing insofar as the layout is concerned,
Yeah,
but that's okay.
navigating.
But here's where I'm at with the whole Headshot Crew membership. The thing that I find the most valuable is the replays of the headshot of the month and the analysis.
And
If
that's what
we
I'm
might-
looking for.
Yeah, it's really good. And he has the one I'm watching now is almost 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the old days of print competitions. We used to have seminars and like mini conferences for the professional photographers of Ontario. You know, we had them every 3 months, and at the end of the day, usually it was a Sunday, we'd have supper, and after supper we'd have our print show, which was a print show live competition with an analysis and a critique. I remember those quite fondly, and you really, I can't imagine any better way to learn the tactics and strategies to do with photography other than listening and watching, especially participating in a print competition with a print critique. So I found that pretty good. And I don't know that there's much else. I don't know. I'm looking. I mentioned the Headshot Crew website membership is a little bit confusing going in there. There's a lot of content. And these replays, maybe they put them inside exclusive for members only, and then after a while they put them on YouTube. I don't know. It's almost ironic that Peter Hurley puts it on his YouTube channel. I don't know. But either way, I want to support them, and I believe it's a good cause. I'm really learning lots. It's really cool. So, but he had one guy in there who was a black dude, bald, and he had the pointiest head I've ever seen. And I'm looking at this, I'm going, oh, what do you say about this, Peter? And the first thing he says is, well, his head's a little pointy. And he was trying to crop it in. He was trying to crop, but I'm learning a lot, you know, all these nuances to do with everything. Lighting I pretty much can handle, but there's all these other nuances. And he often brings up brows, especially on women, the brow and expression. And well, some of the lighting is way off. You could tell these are people that are still kind of master their lighting, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Camera angle, expression, and sometimes the color's off a bit, and that's stuff I would never notice.
Yeah.
Hardly. Well, it's interesting. So.
Well, I remember the first time I entered the contest, it was about 4 months ago, something like that, and he was on the live, and he basically tore me a new one on my picture, and but I needed it. I took it as constructive criticism, and that's how he means it too. It's just a matter of
you didn't have a hurt ego and a little
no, not at all, because I want to get better, right? And the only way to get better is you got to be able to take criticism. So it was good, and then I entered one about 2 months later, I think, which was like 2 months ago, and excuse me, and he I still don't know how well I did because, like I said, I missed the video.
Yeah.
Of whenever they were going to do it. And I think it was the October when I entered, and then in the beginning of November they do the video, usually if that's 3 hours long, where they go through every shot one at a time and they critique it. And I didn't miss it, so I'm gonna have to go on there and see if they have that one to see what they said about my image, to see if
you're gonna have to check it out and tell me which one it is so I can go watch it, because I want to. There's nothing that would please me more than to watch Peter Hurley.
Rip me a new one.
Rip John Butler a new one.
Well, the one he ripped me, like the head was turned like this a little bit, but you know how sometimes if you don't have them sitting up tall enough, and we all get these jowls that come out a little bit, and so he was telling me how to pretend like there's a string here and pull it up to make sure that you get it's how it gets rid of it, and then he was just little things here and there, nothing major. I mean. But it was enough to make you, like any other person that has an ego would be like, oh, screw him. And
you cried a little bit, that's all.
Nah.
You shed a few tears.
I was surprised because I actually thought it was a good shot, and the client liked it. And I told him, I said it was like almost like your parallel lighting, as he calls it, where he has the two on the side to side. And he's like, well, were they both the same intensity? I'm like, no. He goes, well, then it's not parallel lighting then. I'm like, well, true, but I was not getting at that, but because I didn't want it both. I wanted to have a bit of the shadow on the one side, but I knew what he was getting at. He wasn't saying that it was bad that it wasn't parallel. Just don't call it parallel, basically, because it wasn't. So it was kind of like, and then the one I entered last was with his triangular type one. I want to see what they said about that and how well I did. So
how many times have you entered?
Just twice.
Okay,
I just haven't had time.
I haven't at all, but I should. I've been tempted to.
I'll probably enter one this month.
Yeah.
Well, you only got, a week to do it? No, 2 weeks to do it.
All right. Maybe I'll do it.
You have till 31st.
Challenge on.
All right, we'll both enter one.
John and Rob are going to enter into Peter Hurley
exactly
Headshot of the Month.
We'll get them to rate both of ours out of 10 and see who gets higher. I'm sure you'll get better than me.
You never know. Loser owes winner a coffee.
There you go.
So, but no, it's I agree with you 100%. It's really a valuable thing to get objective feedback, especially from somebody like Hurley, who has such a
Well, he's very successful in what he does in that
yeah,
field. So why not
yeah,
get? I think you were the one I learned it from, where it said, if you're going to learn something, learn from somebody that's already successful in that. Don't.
yeah,
There's so many people that are considered mentors online and stuff, or they're considered experts, and yet when was the last time they were actually out in the field, actually doing that thing? They're right
true.
now. They've been spending 10 years just coaching people, but you're not actually out there doing it.
There's a lot of charlatans,
Yeah,
or maybe not charlatans. There's a lot of, I mean, they might offer something of value, but you really want to learn from.
in the
Yeah,
tradespeople.
that was me that said that, and that kind of segues nicely into really the topic of today's live stream, which is to do with goals and such.
Hmm.
And that is the topic of being coached as well. I've said this before, and I didn't learn this on my own. I picked it up from Raymond Aaron. Back around 2000, my buddy and I were out having a cigar and a soda water. He was having a beer after a Toastmasters meeting. This is a longtime friend of mine. And we went to this club in town called Little Habanas. It was a cigar bar. And I said to him randomly, this was late 1999, I said, I always wanted to get into real estate. And I said, do you want to get into real estate? And he said, yeah, let's get into real estate. And we did. We got into real estate together. And right after that, from that next Monday afternoon on, we'd have lunch together, and we started calling, faxing. Remember the days of fax machines? We faxed all the real estate offices looking for listings. Now, I purposely did fax on purpose because I didn't want to work with a real estate agent who was not going to at least read the fax and call us back. And so I put a little barrier to entry. And like, who were we? We were these low grade in real estate investors. We barely had any money. And but I wanted to, sort of like pre-qualify them. And it worked out. We started looking at places, and we went from one real estate agent to another, and then we hit on one guy, and he was pretty good. I brought us a few really sweet deals, a few deals I found on my own, and we started accumulating real estate. But that's not the point of this. The point of this is this is probably before Google.
Hmm.
I don't know when Google come out. Was Google a thing? Could have been on Yahoo.
Google probably didn't come out till like early 2000s, I'm thinking.
So I went and searched Canadian real estate investment strategies or something like that. And Raymond Aaron showed up. Raymond Aaron was one of these, no money down guys, but he was the Canadian version of such. But he had segued that service into a goal setting, a monthly membership called Monthly Mentor. And he, from his real estate group, he asked them, and he grew this monthly in-person group coaching once a month in Toronto, Vancouver, Edmonton, and Calgary. So he'd fly every month out west, go do those meetings 2-3 days in a row, and he'd come back and he'd do the one in Richmond Hill, which is north of Toronto. And he sent a cassette. Remember cassettes?
I do.
He sent a cassette with a letter pitching this, and it was the most amazing. It was an audio presentation that he recorded from a live presentation, and he made that point in there, and that's what sold me. He said that there's only 3 ways that you can learn. 3 ways. I got to learn how to count. I got one thumb too many. There's only 3 ways you can learn. You can learn from yourself, you can learn from your peers, or you can learn from a master. And I kind of might have known that at one level or another, and I think we all know that at some, but we never really apply it as a strategy because, we're weak and we're human and we're accustomed to our own dopamine hits and our egos and all the stuff that goes with that. And so when and then his point was really straightforward. It's like, okay, if you're going to listen to yourself, how has that worked out for you? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Has it worked out so far? So if you want to learn karate, would you just go to a library and start learning on your own, or would you go to a guru? Likewise, you go to your peers, your parents, your family, your friends. What do they know about what it is? Like if I wanted to get into real estate, would I go to my, say, one of my best friends who only has nothing but opinions on real estate. So you go to a master, you go to somebody who's been there, done that, and that whole idea always stuck with me. So
Makes sense.
yeah. And 10 years prior to that, in 1990, I bought the program 30-day Personal Power with Tony Robbins. Remember that? I don't know if you remember
I
Tony
remember
Robbins.
Tony Robbins. Yeah, he's still around.
Yeah, when he first hit the airwaves in 1989, he had an infomercial and he was pitching this program. It was about $300-400 at the time, which was a lot of money for me. I was poor, and $300-400 in 1990 money was probably 2-3 times, be about $1,500 or $1,200 in today's money. So I remember I bought the program, and it was a series of cassettes. There was 20 cassettes for 1 month. So you went from Monday to Friday, you took the weekends off, and there was one cassette for every day of that 30 days. And I was so committed to it because I didn't have the money, and I was like, no, man, I got to do this. And I did it, and it literally changed my life. It literally changed my life. And he does a lot of goals too in there. So anyways, fast forward to Raymond Aaron. I signed up for his program, which was $200 a month for 17 months. So every month I drove down to Richmond Hill, came back, got home at 3 a.m. But I did it. And then I signed up for other coaching programs, one-on-one phone coaching, something I really believe in. And what's really cool is that they all used goal setting as the basis and the foundation for their program. So, and that's kind of where we want to go with today's conversation, is talk about goals. Something I really believe in. So I did a deep dive video on goals a couple of days ago. And can I put the link in here? I can. I can just post it in the comments. I'm going to put it in the comments in case anybody wants to go watch that.
Definitely. Because I can also put it on the screen if you wanted me to. You just have to send it to me. Or when I see it in the comments, I'll get it and I'll put it in there.
Okay, it's called Setting Goals, a Deep Dive. It's 42 minutes and 31 seconds long. So yeah, goals is just can't post comments to Facebook groups.
No, you have to do it in Facebook itself. You can't do it through here.
Okay, let me go there and do that.
Yeah, if you're when you go to the actual live stream of this event, you can type it in there.
There we are. There it is. So yeah, if anybody's interested in that, it showed up. Ding. It's in the comments now. So if you want to watch that, I'm a big believer in goals, and there's so much to be said about goals. And I think the problem with goals for most of us is we lack motivation, and that's a big, big issue. We have intentions, we have wishful thinking, but we have lack of action. The only time that action seems to kick in is when we hire a coach and we have accountability. Accountability is a big, big, big factor. Or when our lives are so catastrophically falling apart, either health-wise or through some addiction or other external or internal activity, it's creating so much chaos that we're fed up. We want to change, and then we create a new set of goals. But a lot of people are very passive about goal setting because it's not something, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that, but life is pretty good. I got a good job. I come home and I watch Netflix and I do my thing in the weekend, and they're not motivated. They may be motivated. I've known so many people that hate their jobs or worked 32 years at a job, and then they look back at it and go, oh, man, I really, really hated it. What the hell? But they have a pension and they're happy. They think they're happy. So you always pay a price for that. So don't fool yourselves if you think that you're getting something that is of value. If you think it is something that is going to give you instant gratification, but think of the long-term picture and think of what it is that you really, really want to achieve. And that's really the starting point for a lot of us. Figure out what it is you want to start. So I have a feeling, John, that for you, you're deep into it. You're up to your eyeballs in alligators on this one, and that is you want to have a successful photography business.
Mm-hmm. Very much
Which,
so, and I work on it every day.
yeah, you're in it, as am I. So, but
My problem is goals. I have lots of goals, and I'm in my brain set them and that, but I'm not like you where I put them on paper and try and follow. I did that one goals thing with my friend, but and I've been doing pretty good at that one because it is written down. But overall, I'm a big. My wife will tell you, a big procrastinator. I have all these goals, but I don't know. I procrastinate, and I got to get to them.
Well, there's stuff you can do for that, and you just described, I think, the vast majority of people, other than the ones who think goals are stupid. But I'll argue with them till the day is done that that's nonsense. By the way, the term, whenever I meet somebody who says, "Yeah, I got a good job with a good pension, but I hate my job," I call it golden handcuffs. Ka-ching,
Yep.
golden handcuffs. So there's no freedom when your hands are tied, but you're tied with gold, and
Yeah.
so something to think about. It's pretty scary to move beyond. People want safety more than freedom, so freedom is really the underlying common denominator when it comes to setting goals. Having freedom, that freedom is a reflection of where it is you want to go in life, and it's really a reflection of your deepest desires. So I would challenge you, John, that you're doing a lot. You're doing above and beyond the norm, the average. Most people would not get into business for themselves. So there's that. So yeah, kudos to you. And you're willing to learn and grow and always participate in any thing like the Headshot Crew and these weekly live streams and all of that good stuff. So there's that. So that counts for a lot, in my opinion. But if you want to ramp it up, what I would suggest you do is get yourself a journal. I use a journal every morning. I write in it. I just write stuff down. I free write. I'll just comment on how I slept that night or anything that's going on, and write down things that you would really like to sort of like possibly pursue. Ideas will come. Once you get that train moving, it really starts to generate this sort of, it's like a sparkler. It starts to shoot off sparkles, and then, it lights a flame of passion and ideas and creativity. And then you start to get more ideas. Some of them will be nonsense. Some of them will be a reflection of a deeper, more realistic desire. Like that time I wanted to be a sailor. I took a lot of sailing courses for about 12, 15 years. I bought my first sailboat in 2000, and I sold it in 2000. Two happiest days in a boater's life: the day they buy the boat, the day they sell the boat. But what I wanted from sailing, and I love the idea of sailing. I mean, I just think a sailboat is a beautiful thing. But I bought a motorcycle and instead, and what I realized is I didn't really want to sail. I wanted what sailing represented, which was sort of organic, authentic freedom. The closest thing to that's the most accessible and the most exhilarating is a motorcycle. So as you know, I've been on many, many motorcycle trips from east to west, and I'm talking with a good buddy of mine who lives in, he was living in Hong Kong, and he's now moved to Malaysia. And he's talking to me about doing a trip from Canada all the way down to Costa Rica on motorcycles. And he keeps bringing it up, and he's like, holy shit, he's serious. He wants to do this. I'm like, I've always wanted to do it, and I'm all right. So I'm looking into it. But that's a
It might be a little hard for you to do that, though, because somehow you got to drive that bike over the water, and I don't know how you're going to do that.
Well, there is no water to Costa Rica.
Isn't it?
No, it's all highway. Costa Rica is a Central American country, and it's just north of Panama.
Yeah, so you'd have to go through Central America, like Mexico and all that stuff.
United States, Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Nicaragua. I might be missing one or two there.
Just don't go in those no-go zones or whatever, because I've been.
Well, that would be area in El Salvador.
Well, there's in Guatemala and Belize and all. There's all these no-go zones that you don't want to go into because the gangs run the place.
But people drive these highways all the time, so it's doable.
Awesome. Yeah.
But that's a goal, and to further the point of doing goals, if you do goals, and when I really got into structured goals, there was always these there was a business goal, a wealth goal, a learning goal, a health goal, categories. I'm talking categories, and you do that eventually. You get into categories of goals, and that's more a lifestyle. That's one of these. I got to do one of these just for the pure hell of it goals. So
Yeah.
I've noticed one thing too, that goals have changed as you get older. I'm 63 now, and my goals from when I was 43, they were much more building a photography business based and other. Now they're much more health based and activity based as to the things I want to do for lifestyle, like live in Costa Rica and possibly build a business down there. So, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. So,
Hey, whatever works to make you happy.
yeah. So I want to post. I mentioned. Oh, I don't know where it went.
Where's my name still up there? There we go.
I mentioned. Okay, I'm going to search it. Hold on. I'm going to post the. Let me do this. I had it on my browser, and then I don't know why I lost the browser. So if I just do a quick search, and it's taking forever. I have the. So I did a. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
No worries. Like I said, that's just me. Is I have all these goals, and like you said, mine is more photography business based, but I also have some personal goals that I want to do, and they're totally different than, like you said, what you are maybe now at 63. I'm 49. I'll be 50 next year, and I have some plans that I would like to do for my 50s. And now, of course, we got to get some of my plans are going to correspond with when we get over this COVID stuff, of course. And
COVID changed a lot of my goals. It's like, surprise.
But there's a lot of directions I want to take my business in that will sort of get rid of some of the stuff I'm doing now and go more in a different direction, but still doing some of the stuff that I'm still doing, but just sort of narrow it down of more of a focused vision as to being like you are, where it's more the switchblade of photography, as you say, or the Swiss
Army knife.
Swiss Army knife. I want to more centralize myself into certain areas and stuff, but
I think it's important to constantly be digging into this and strategizing and thinking about it, meditating on it. If you're not sure how to manifest it, like I said, get a journal, write every morning, right before you go to bed, create some affirmations, create some goals, think on them before you go to bed, meditate on them before you go to bed, and ask your subconscious mind. This is a legitimate strategy. Ask your subconscious mind, says, where do I need to go with this, and whatever that may be, or how do I resolve this problem if you're having a problem, or how do I manifest this? And you have to be very open and not too analytical in the sense that you're going to start stressing out and worrying about it. So let's say you want to make money, and if you're focusing on your debt and you have a poverty consciousness and you focus on that while you're doing goals, you're almost not going to get anywhere, because you're really feeding the wrong consciousness, and you got to elevate to a higher level of certainty and or focus, so that your mind and your subconscious and the universe can sort of say, okay, we know where you want to go with this. Here's a little gift for you. I can guarantee you that those gifts will come. I've seen it happen in my life over and over and over and over and over again. It's magical the way it happens. And I sort of touch on that on the deep dive in the replay that I posted over there. I also just posted a link to the Follow Your Dreams goal setting presentation. It was something I felt I needed to share with everybody, so I put it in the blog with the goal setting PDF. So anybody, if you want to really study this some more, go watch that replay and also download and print out those forms. Those forms are very structured and help you analyze the different areas that you want to create a list of goals in, and it's really well laid out, in my opinion. And one of the areas, and I've talked about this before, one of the areas that is probably the number one roadblock and area of opportunity is the one category in the goal setting that those forums I'm talking about and the replay is the idea of cleaning your messes. I heard that through Raymond Aaron when I was on the monthly mentor coaching program. And it was, to me, it was genius. Now, not knowing at the time that I had already applied it to my life, because I had a lot of messes going back to 1990, and I cleaned them all up. And those were the doorways to a larger, more manifesting of goals, gifts, destinies, and adventures above and beyond anything that I could have ever imagined. There's a lot of goals you want. They're easily describable, but then there's a lot of stuff that shows up and gets it evolves from sort of a nondescript inner passion. You just feel unsettled about something, but you got to look at yourself, and it takes honesty and it takes courage to face the fears and to face the demons that hold us back. And like I said, those are under the category of messes. And, it's a psychological thing, and it's pretty damn deep when you really stop and think about it. But you have to look at those and go, why, what am I doing that is holding me back? Or, and it could be an addiction of any sort, or it could be that we're just like constantly in physical messes. Our car's a mess, our house is a mess, our garage is a mess, or anything of that nature. So I think there's huge opportunity in that. So give you an example, how I when I discovered that idea, I said, well, that's exactly what I did in AA, as you know, and I've mentioned it before, 31 years sober. And in AA, they have these steps, right? It's a structure, and these steps are really, really well thought out. Step 4 is made a list of all people we had harmed and decided to make amends, except when to do so would harm then or others, which makes a lot of sense. So the idea behind that is to look at yourself honestly, and that's considered the granddaddy of all steps. Steps 4 and 5, and steps 5 is admit it to yourself, to another human being, and to God. So your higher conscious, your higher self. The exact nature of your wrongs. So, once you make that list, you got to sit down with somebody and you have to sort of purge it out there. And the idea is once you do that, you let it go and you get beyond the guilt, because they know in that program that a lot of people are addicted to booze and drugs because they have a lot of guilt and shame. And that allows you to sort of move beyond that. And you can apply that across the board, no matter where you are in life. If you just sort of look at that, and that way you open the door to a new adventure, and that's part of cleaning your messes, so to speak. So, yeah, so
Very
something to think about.
And it's got to be positive too. I read a quote a friend of mine posted the other day. It was like, being negative only makes the journey more difficult. You may be given a cactus, but you don't have to sit on it.
Yeah, it has
made
to
me
be
remember that.
Well, I'm gonna say when you mention that, I'm gonna just add an addendum to it, and that is what you described is called mindset. So you have to go in with a strong mindset. Now, if you have a pretty shitty list of things you're struggling with, and it could be addictions based, you're going to have a bigger mountain to climb. And that's why, in places like AA, or if you're doing executive coaching or coaching, you rely on somebody who's been there, done that, and that helps carry you across the threshold. Impossible to do on your own. 100% impossible to do on your own. So that's an area that really allows for a lot of opportunity for most of us, and a lot of us will be in total denial on that one. However, be honest with yourselves, and if you don't have a big list of personal self-imposed grievances and messes, well, you must have something if you're not really achieving what it is you want to achieve. Let's assume you're trying to get somewhere. Let's assume you have some other higher level you want to get to. Start there and look at the things that they could be really easy and minor. And then if that's the case, then hey, kudos. It'll be that much easier for you to start moving forward. But start moving, you must. So and to elevate to a higher level. So it's like a journey, you know, and this is a journey that never, 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 never ends. It's a life thing.
Yep.
I need some more gum. Excuse me, my mouth is getting really dry. So,
Well, like I said, it's all everything you're talking about, goals, everything, positivity, everything. It all starts with, like you said, a mindset. Because it's like anything. You want to do a diet or you want to get in the best shape. You go on these little crazy diets. They never work because you get to where you want to go and then you go back to your old routine again. You got to make it.
yeah,
You got to make it a lifestyle. You want to be healthy. You got to eat healthy. You got to do this. Make it a lifestyle. You want to be successful in business. You got to set procedures and strategies in place and make it a lifestyle. You can't just say you're going to do it. You got to put it to action. And that's my fault on some stuff. It's not that I don't want to do a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I have ambition for, but I haven't put to action yet. And I've got to do that. So,
well, start writing it down. Start there. That's an action step, by the way. Just writing it down is an action step. You know, we don't have to climb Mount Everest. We can just start with the little hills that lead to Mount Everest.
yeah. And get rid of all the excuses because
Yeah.
it can be, I'm not going to say that, I haven't done this goal yet or I haven't done that because of this, this, and this. To me, that's just excuses. I haven't done it because I'm lazy or because I just, like I said, procrastinating or this and that. It's all you. Don't make excuses. Just do it or just don't talk about it.
True.
Stop the excuses.
So we got to make an assessment, so to speak, you know.
Yeah.
So where am I at? If you sign up for any coaching program, like I said, I've done many in my day, and they're all goals based, which I don't know why, but I was always surprised because I always thought, there's going to be something else they've got this secret technique. No, there's nothing but goals. But
Get rich quick schemes.
So decide where you want to go. And ask yourself, once you do that, that's a powerful exercise. You start to develop a new mindset, a new way of thinking, literally, about your life. And then you start taking action steps towards those. And you want the action steps to be reasonably step by step. Like I said, not climbing out Mount Everest. So, and you could even just simply say, okay, I want to do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but this is what I really want. And then you could just sort of meditate on it. And there's laws of attraction strategies, and that's something I really believe in too. I don't believe in it in the sense that it's the only thing that's going to get you through this, but as one tool of many, it's a powerful strategy because all you need to do is sort of say, okay, this is what I like to do. Okay. At night, I think about my goals. I try and really unwind the 30 minutes to an hour before I go to bed, and everything's unplugged, and I meditate a little bit, and I think about what it is I want. And if I'm trying to look for a specific answer to a question, I will meditate on that. And I always say I am, if I'm after something, I am. This is important. Like if you want to, let's say you wanted to get a new camera system and it's going to cost you $25,000. So if you go after that with, I want this, it's not the optimum way to write it out. Say to yourself, I am the owner of this system, whatever that is. You describe it and ask yourself, what kind of a person and what steps do I need to take in order to be that kind of person who has that? So it's all about ownership. It's all about who you are as an individual. Sounds kind of weird, but it's where I've figured all this out up till now. I am are the two most important words. And you just relax. And if you can imagine yourself owning that stuff or being in whatever state it is that you're at when, so if you want to lose weight, by the way, I think weight loss is one of the hardest goals too, because North Americans, we're fat and overweight. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's a sad reality. We have too much food, too much sugar, too much processed foods, which are loaded with salt and that, and it tastes so damn good. and we're weak. And I find the people that I've known, and I'm going to put myself in there as well, because I was about 30 pounds overweight and suffered from massive headaches. I thought I was dying, but I fixed all that by modifying my diet like radically. And the people that I've known who have done the same, like my cousin, for example, I don't know. He retired and he got into photography and he came to one of the Infernos back in Toronto. I don't know if you met him. His name was Bob. He always came out with his wife. Actually, his wife's my cousin and he's married to her. So I call him my cousin. Anyways, he texted me a few years ago. He said that he was on 2 blood pressure pills and 1 blood pressure pill and 2 cholesterol lowering pills. And the doctor said, you are now diabetic. So he looked into it, he modified his diet, and within 3 months, all those medications are 100% gone. He lost 70 pounds, and he's never been healthier in his life. So my point is this. He was motivated. He had what I call a near-death experience. He was facing death in the face because the doctor told him he was going to die. It was going to get him. And it's sad that a lot of people don't see that when they go through similar experiences. They often will say, oh, the doctor says I got to take insulin every month. It's just a fact of life. Well, there's a lot you can do. And the motivation needs to be there. And the motivation for him was there. So when it comes to diet, that's a tough one. From the other people that I've known who don't change, they're just constantly feeding themselves, especially the people that I know who are morbidly obese. It's not healthy. So I've often felt that trauma is at its very root, and it's harder to fix that one than just about any other addiction, because it's so socially acceptable and it's so hard to get to the root of. So unless we have a near-death experience like what happened to my cousin, it's going to be hard for somebody to change. Those people who get the stomach stapled?
Yep. I have my wife's cousin had that done.
Many times they lose weight and then they just go right back again because they're not really addressing the true cause of why it is they're so addicted to food, which is usually trauma-based. And it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one to get through. So my heart goes out to anybody struggling with weight, being motivated and being dedicated and having that set as a clear goal. I could minimally at least encourage anybody to put it down as a goal and start looking into it and start educating yourself and being open to that fearlessly educate yourself to that goal, and something may show up that'll open a door, that'll open another door, open another door. And but if you just sort of like passively resign yourself to not doing anything, then this stuff doesn't come easy. No. Achieving goals is always scary. It means changing your circumstances, changing your mindset, changing your way of thinking, and giving up things. I mean, Tony Robbins talked about this all the time. He talks about it to this day, but 30 Days of Personal Power, in that program, he talks about how we're motivated by fear and pain, avoiding loss and avoiding pain and fear, or something like that. And it's kind of ironic because I think fear is one of the most addictive drugs. And, we plug into the news for our daily dose of fear. Somehow it feels good. So that's what I would do. You got to start somewhere. Anyways, when you got a set of goals, the important thing is to ask yourself, so put yourself down. I really believe in this idea of 5 years from now, having a vision of seeing yourself in 5 years. Then you ask yourself, what do I need to do? What has to change in order for me to be happy with those results and to achieve them? That's a very important question. So, and I have the link that I just put in there with the Follow Your Dreams goal setting presentation. there's a page in there dedicated to
The
5 years.
plan. Yeah, I remember.
And
I remember seeing that before.
that is so powerful. So how old are you now, John?
49.
So when you do your 5 year, first thing you got to put down is your name and such, and you got to put down your age in 5 years. So you're going to be 54 or 55.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to put your wife's age down there, and it gives you a reality. It's like a splash of cold water. It says, "This is a reality." And I look at it, I'm like, man, holy crap! First time I had done that, I was like, I think I was 42 or 43. And I did my 5 years, and I was like, okay, in 5 years from now, I'm going to be 47. That was like unfathomable to me. It was like, what? My daughter was, I think she was 7 or 8 years old. So and you have to put down your kids' ages in 5 years, including your spouse. So my daughter was going to be like 12. And then when she's like 7, at the time, you're thinking, oh, she's just a little kid. She's going to be like preteen, teen years in 5 years. I'm going to be 47, 48. And it adds a new perspective, which is a bit of a reality check. So I did that. I did that back then. I've told this story. I'll bring it up again. And I put the 5 year thing in my dresser, and I forgot about it. Mm-hmm. And then 5 years later, I was in my new house on. You've seen? I don't know. Have you ever been to my house in?
No. I remember you used to have that the big log wooden house or whatever, and you had your studio in the back there, and you converted an old garage into it or something like that.
Yeah, it was a 1,200 square foot garage. It was a cedar home. Let me show you.
Cathedral ceilings too, I think, if you had.
Yeah.
I remember that house, and when you told me that you sold it, I'm like, was he crazy? Because I thought that house was awesome.
Can you see it?
There we go. Now I see it. Yeah.
So, anyways, that's one of many, many goals that I wanted. Because at the time we were in a mall. We had a nice location in the mall. We were really happy there. We could have stayed there. Business was very, very brisk. And we decided to move to a home studio. And this is where we ended up. And then there's my daughter right there with her basketball net. And I'm in my office in this house, and I pulled out this 5 year thing, and I'm like, I started to get shivers, and my hair stood up in the back of my neck. I was like, what? Because on this 5 year thing that I was telling you about, it said in 5 years from now, I'm going to be living in a 3,000 square foot cedar home. I didn't say wood. I said cedar. Mm-hmm. With cathedral ceilings and a home studio not too far from the city, but not too close. And this is exactly where this is. Mm-hmm. This is not too far from the city and not too close. It's literally, you walk about 100 meters and you're at the city line, and there's lots of bush and a golf course nearby and a beautiful lot. And it's just an amazing place. So we ran our studio there for 8 years. But that's, to me, an example of how a goal can be manifest and how it manifested for me. So, and running with the idea that you're going to have a 5 year vision is where that came from for me. And it's something I really, really, really believe in. So sometimes goals don't pan out. Like I said, I wanted to be a sailor, and I didn't really want to be a sailor. I wanted what sailing represented. So
well, it's like me. Like, I think I did one of your 5 year things once. I downloaded it and I did it, and part of it came true. One was that I won was to do with my real estate and our living situation, and then COVID sort of put a kibosh on some of that. So that's not going to happen. It's just it's going to take longer than I expected. But then one was to be running my own photography studio, and one was not sharing with another group, but running my own with my own space, and one was to be the go-to person for photography. And right now I'm not the only one in the area, of course, but I'm the main one I would consider. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, as you would say, but I like to think that in this area, if you were to send out a survey to most people in the area and said, name 3 photographers, I'd be one of the 3 that they would name. So
Uh-huh.
doesn't mean they have to use me, but at least the name is out there and the recognition is out there. So, and I'm still running my own brick and mortar studio where people said, "Oh, you'll never be able to do that anymore. Photography's dead." Well, I'm still here, and I don't see any signs of it going away.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's good. And you want to stay focused on that goal. You don't want to you don't want to become not passive or take it for granted. You want to always be working on it.
yep,
Because, as you know, it's like a unicycle. You start pedaling, you fall off.
yep,
So, like, think of your skill sets, think of your branding, think of your yearly income. Do you want to add an additional
that was in there
30,000?
too. Yeah, that was in there too. I'm still not to where I said, but
All these things are important to keep
well,
in
the
mind.
yearly income will help me get that other goal of the house too, of the house that we want to buy and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it all works together. You put a goal, and then you put other goals to help you reach that goal, and piece them together. So I'd say out of that 5-year thing, I put probably about 5 or 6 different things down, and I think 2 or 3 of them have come to fruition already in that 5 years, and it's just a matter of getting the other ones. Now I got to put down a new 5-year one, include those ones that didn't happen because they're still part of my ambition, and include
Yeah.
some other ones in there too.
Well, if they didn't happen and they're perfectly reasonable goals, but they may seem way out there, put them down again and
I
ask
remember my
yourself.
mom, she read something one time and she tried it. I don't know if it ever worked for her, but and maybe this was a Tony Robbins thing, I don't know, but it was one of those things where you want to take a check, get your checkbook,
Yeah.
write out a check for a certain amount and stick it on your mirror and say, one day I'm going to cash that check.
Yep.
And it was for a big amount that you never would be able to cash at that time. And your goal is within the 5 years is to be able to take that to the bank and cash it. And it might not be physically going to cash it, but that technically you could go and cash that check within 5 years. And
That's
it just means
Jim Carrey
powerful.
did that. Jim
Okay.
Carrey, the actor, did that.
Yeah.
And it worked out for him.
Yeah.
Well,
If
lots
you
of
put in a
different.
$50,000 check and say, okay, I'm going to cash that, and within the next 5 years, I'm going to be able to cash that, or $100,000 or whatever you want to put, and then you
Yeah.
actually get to do that. I mean, that's powerful.
I think in the sense that helps our mindset straighten up, because sometimes we don't feel we're worthy, but when we write out a check, it tells us at a subconscious, conscious level that, hey, we're worthy.
Yep. You see that check with that amount on it, and you see your name on that check, it makes, hey, if my name's on there, I can get it. It's all visualization.
Past sins, past harms, and past guilts hold us back. So we have to, sometimes we'll have a goal and something will be triggered that'll point us into one of those areas or more, that we say, okay, you got to fix this first. This is something you got to do first. And because it's not going to happen easily. It's a journey, and it's really a journey of self-improvement.
I don't know if you agree with it or not, but I always said too, it's got to be a realistic goal too. You can't just set out something saying, I'm going to make, I made $30,000 last year, so I'm going to make $150,000 this year. Well, that might not, it might be realistic, it might not, but you know your area, you know what you're doing, you know how you're doing it, and how you've done the last 10 years. Are you going to be able to reach that 150? It's got to be something realistic too. I always try and start what's realistic or what's the minimum, and then add to that a little bit more on top of that. So you're going past that, but it's got to be realistic too. Some people put some real unrealistic goals, I think, in their plate, and then they get upset and depressed when they don't reach it.
Well, I think stretching, having your goals stretch you out is important too. So I have as you know, in the forum, I have Cliff Notes, highlights from books I read over the years, and I create a PDF file. There's one in there called The Power Bible by Brendan Lemon and William Batiste, and it's really, I think, one of my favorite books I read in the last 5 years. And go read the highlights. It's only 9 pages long, and you'll get the gist of what it is I'm talking about. I think it's a really dumb title. I don't get why they call it The Power Bible. It should be called something else. But it's really all about a lot of the points that we were bringing up in this talk. So some good stuff in there. All right, John, we're up to an hour.
Yeah. Well, I knew when we start talking about goals, I can just sit back and let you just go on it, because, and I just kick in where I need to, because I know that that's something that's very important to you, and I know you can carry. You could probably go for 2-3 hours if you needed to.
Well, I've done it before. I'd do it again. I'm going to ask you to, if you don't mind, if you remember, send me a text and remind me to do the Peter Hurley headshot submission.
Okay.
Would you do that?
I will do that, because I'll put it in mind too, because I sometimes mean to do it and I totally forget, and then all of a sudden the 31st comes by, I'm like, shoot, I didn't do it this year or this month. So I want to do it too.
That's a strategy that Raymond Aaron used to teach in his monthly goal setting, the monthly mentorship.
Yep.
And that was the more you delegate, the more points you get.
Now, if you really want some more instant feedback, he does the headshot of the week also. Now, the difference between them is headshot of the month can be anything you've shot in the past year or whatever. Headshot of the week has to be something you shot that week.
Right.
So you had to do a headshot that week and then submit it that week for the critique. If it can't be one you did 2 months ago or 2 weeks ago, even, it has to be that week. Whereas the monthly one, it didn't have to be done this month. You could have did it 3 months ago and you could throw it in there. So if you want that instant gratification, do that too. So I haven't done the weekly one yet. I'm just doing the monthly ones because I haven't had time to sit and go on.
I'll go monthly. I'm buying more time.
Yeah, so I'll do the same thing. And I think you can only submit one at a time, if I'm not mistaken. You can't submit 2 or 3 of them. So
I have a headshot tomorrow and one on today's Wednesday and one on Friday.
Yeah.
So I'll go into those shoots with the mindset that, well, maybe knowing that I'm submitting, I'm going to really hopefully ramp up my game.
Yeah.
Watch a few more replays from the headshot crew, and
I have one I did a couple weeks ago that I'm going to. Remember the one with the 4 girls that I put on my Facebook there?
Yeah.
One of the headshots from there I'm going to do.
All right. Well,
I did all 4 girls separately.
I have high hopes and great expectations for you, John.
Yeah, because when we did the individual headshots, we did them with the triangular thing. Now, the one girl, the one who's in charge of that group there, she actually came back earlier this week, was it? Or late last week. It was late last week to redo hers because she wasn't happy with her hair, the way she did her hair in the other one. So she's like, "Could I come back and redo?" I'm like, "Sure, come on in." So and she paid for 2 different ones. I didn't charge her for the extra shoot, but when she came back, she ended up purchasing 2 other shots. So she had already purchased 2 shots before, plus 5 group shots. Yeah. So she just came in, we redid it. She's like, "Yeah, I like these all. I can already tell I like these way better. My hair looks way better." And she was an ex-hairstylist too, so she was really. So she picked 2 more, and we did them. So I'm going to enter one of those probably. Cool.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. So.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for doing this, John.
No worries, and then we'll try and we'll see what the feedback is. Maybe we'll do noon every week in that. I think that's a better time myself.
I think so too.
And then January 13th, that week we'll have to remind everybody that's going to be on a Thursday, not a Wednesday. That's when we have Sal with us, but he was only available on the Thursday at like 3:00, so that's when we got to do it. So
Sal Sincota.
Yeah, Sal Sincota. So he's going to be on Thursday, the 13th of January at 3:00 p.m.
I better make sure I put that in my day timer.
Yeah, put it in your day timer instead of the Wednesday, the Thursday, and it's later. It's like 3:00 Eastern because apparently he's doing a webinar 1 till 2, so he needed that extra time. I'm like, okay, no problem.
I don't.
I'm trying to get his wife too because she's a wicked photographer too, and she's also a good businesswoman too. So
hold on, I'm going to do that right now.
Yeah. So everybody else, while Rob's typing that in, you go type it in too. Thursday, January 13th, 3:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Sal Sincata with No BS Photo Buzz. Great wedding and portrait photographer, high school seniors. I think he's mostly high school seniors and weddings, but he also does like headshots and a lot of really cool themed portrait sessions. He'll take like girls to Italy with nice beautiful gowns out in the big buildings and things. Like he just does amazing stuff, and he's I think a Westcott ambassador too, so
yeah,
he does a lot of videos for Westcott and things like that, and Canon ambassador too.
Free Canon cameras for you, free Westcott modifiers for you. Everybody gets free.
Exactly. So very big on high off-camera flash. So I'm going to learn a lot. I don't know if he wants to get into more on the business side or if he wants to talk more about his shooting itself, but we'll see how it goes.
We'll see what dark alleys and rabbit holes we can bring him down.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to it. All right.
We'll see everybody next week. Bye-bye.